Hello, welcome to my channel. Have nice having you guys back on this channel. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel, like, and drop any comment if you have anything important to put down there. Without wasting much time, we are talking about we are in a new series. So we are going to be discussing more about importing, uh, exporting models, importing models in Python. So this is just an introduction aspect of what we are talking about today, and it's very important that you guys listen very carefully because the introduction part is very important. I don't know if I can give an hour or more than an hour in this particular introduction because there are a lot of things that we need to cover up, and there is a lot of concepts that we need to know before we dive into our tasks or start attempting our tasks. There are certain things that we need to um, encounter and we get to understand. So without wasting much time, um, we are going to see each of those stuff. So the first thing here is we talk about importing. So you know what importing means, what exporting means. So you know importing is something bringing something else from another place. So maybe you talk about products, goods. So maybe a particular country is producing cocoa, and you want to import cocoa, only cocoa from that particular country to your own country. So there are different things or different goods, different uh, items that you can import from another person's country to your own country. You might even decide to import everything that that particular country is producing. And when we talk about exports, that means the one that is um, giving out. So they are kind of the same, but just in terms of who is receiving and who is also giving. So now that is about the models importing and exporting. So now let us ask the next question: what is a model, especially in Python? So model can be anything. It can be a script, a file that is containing uh, a block of code that is to be executed. So let me just keep things straight. Your files, all those files you have there are known as models. So any Python file are regarded as a model. So maybe I have main.py, or I have job.py or add.py. It is regarded as a model. So whenever we're importing them, the extension .py is excluded in it. So model can be a class, can be an object, can be a function, or can be a simple program. So model can be anything at all. So that is the first thing we need to talk about or we need to establish here. So now, for instance, we have I'm going to create a directory right away. So let me check what we have here. So I'm not making use of all this stuff. So I'm just going to cd inside my desktop like this. Okay. So if you list what we have here, it's only this directory we have. So I'm just going to create another directory. So I'll say mkdir. I'll create another directory and I'll call it IA. Now, the reason I'm calling it I is just I stands for import, E stands for export, or I can even add M. IEM. So just like that. So you can see we have two folders now, which is this high level, next high level programming and IEM. So we have that now. Now the next thing again we can have here, or we can do here, is to navigate inside the IEM we have created. So now we are inside the IEM we have just created. Now we can list, you know that it's empty, there's nothing actually inside it. So now this should be our working environment. Okay, now in this working environment, so there are certain things we need to explore, which are very important. So if for instance I have a file, so let me create an empty file. I'm going to call the file, and let me look for a name. Good.py. So that's the name of the file. So good.py. Now if we check that this file is the text here highlighted with white color, which means that it cannot be executed, but we want it to be something executable. So I'm just going to change the mode as usual. Then now changing the mode. Now if we check that again, see we have this there, which has a green line color. So now that is for that other one. Now the next thing here is, now we know that we have one file here. So I'm going to enter inside this file that I just created. Now I'm going to type some Python code. So now for instance we have let me just type this away. Actually this is not really necessary because it still works. So this good. Now that we have these, now we can go over and run on the other stuff there. So let me assume I have a print function here, and in my print function we have I am a good boy. I'm a good boy, like this. So this, what we have here, is going to be printed out. Now I can go into the stuff to check. So we have code. So I'm gonna create another file, another Python file. So I'm just going to call it tests.py. So in this test.py we are going to put some stuff inside there. PYTHON 3, just like that. Now the next thing is, after inserting that, we want to start our importing. So if for instance now I want to import the file, that particular file I just created, so it's just simple. You just say import PORT like this. Then after importing it, you put the name of that file. So the name of the file was good.py, so you don't need to add the py, so you can just put good like this. So you can see that. So just put good like that. and we are good to go. So if we go and run this the way it is, so I'm just going to change the mode of this test. So I'm going to execute that test. Now you see, actually I wrote this I am a good boy in the file called good.py. File we have good.py, and I imported it into what? Another code, another file which is called test.py, and I run the test.py, and that particular was printed out on it. So even if I run the good too, we should expect to have the same output. You can see that. So I run test.py and a good is printed out. Then I run a good.py and good boys. So actually there is these two things you see here, they are all the same. But despite the fact that they are the same, there are still differences that exist in these two. A lot of difference that exists in these two, in which I'm going to explain right away. Now, what is the difference? Firstly, the first one, which is very obvious here, is number one. One is test.py, while the second one is good.py. So you can see that one is what? Test.py, the other one is good.py. Now, that is the first thing we can use to differentiate it. Now, the second thing is one is not a main file and another is a main file. So, for instance, you might come across something like this. You might come across something like underscore underscore name like this, which is always set to a default value of underscore underscore name like that. So you can see that. Now I'm going to explain. Now, if you go to this file and the print name, it's totally different from what we get here. I'm going to navigate inside the test file, so you see what I'm talking about. Now inside the test file, this is our test file. I come over here and put print so let me start with something simple. Name. So this is a test file. So if I run this now, what you are seeing here is a main, right? Now, why are you seeing a main there? Because it's thinking that, oh, maybe what I'm giving out is really from this particular file. Meanwhile, what it's in there is something important. So how can you get to know what we have there? So if, for instance, we come in here and put good. Oh, sorry. Let me put good here dot name. Good dot name, and let's see what we are going to have. can see I put good.name, and you see our outcome here is good. Can you see that? Inside the what? Test.py file, what we are getting there as our outcome is good. But if, for instance, this was good itself, and we'll do the same thing there, we come in here and put the same stuff there, print print good, because actually we didn't import anything here. I'll put underscore underscore, I'll put name like this, underscore underscore. This might end up throwing an error because now you can see name good is not defined because it was not defined there. But if we, for instance, go back and change this, remove this stuff we have here, remove what we have here, I can see that, and we go ahead and run it. You can see the value here is underscore underscore main. So now the difference here is whenever you run dash slash good, which is the main file, underscore underscore main is printed out. But whenever we run dash slash test like this, you can see good is printed out. So one good is printed out and the other, and you notice that the good here becomes twice. So if, for instance, I go over to my test file, vi dot slash test like this. Oh shit, that was a mistake. Let me put this. Okay, so let me rectify that. So I navigate to my test, then I remove this entirely because I don't want this at all. So we only have this import good, and we escape this. Now let me clear the screen and let me show you. Now if we cut good to see what we have in there, you see we have print, you can see what we have, print good boy, then print what, underscore underscore name, then underscore underscore. Now that is what is inside good. Now we want to run that file to see what the outcome is going to give us. So I'm just going to come here. Can you see? So I am a good boy, then underscore underscore main underscore underscore. So that is a main file. So now the underscore underscore name underscore underscore, that is the name underscore, is known as a variable. So it's known as a variable. So this is a variable. While this main is the value of the variable. Now you know normal variable and values. For instance, you say num is equals to 4 or 45. So So this num here is a variable that is storing the value of 45. So the same thing too is applicable here. Underscore underscore name underscore underscore is a variable that is storing the default value, is storing the value of a string, and the string is what? May, like this. So you can see, so this is a variable storing the value of May. So that is for the main file, and this always happens if the main file is concerned. But if we run the other file that is imported, which is test, you see, instead of test to give us I am a good boy, then giving us underscore underscore main underscore underscore, instead is giving us I am a good boy, then it's giving us the name of the file, which is good. So you can see good that I've just highlighted. So that is the difference between this file good.py and this file test.py. Now the name variable is used to differentiate two: the file that contains the main code or the original modules, and a file that is importing that module. So that is what the name variable is proposed for, to help us differentiate. So for instance, if we want to run a function and we want to know if that function is imported before that function gets run. If it is not imported, then the function will not run. So that is why we need this variable called underscore underscore name underscore underscore. So that is that. Now that is for that aspect. I can import certain things on certain occasions. So for instance, I have done that for good. Now let me edit that good we have there. So if for instance I get rid of whatever we have here, then I define a function. The name of the function is called good boy. This, it does not accept any parameter, but it prints something on the screen. And maybe what it prints is a very simple sentence: good indeed. So stuff like this. Now you can see what we have here. Good boy, which is a function, then prints good indeed whenever that function is called. Now this is the good file. I want to test this file, or I want to run the code in this file. So I'll leave this and navigate to .py. Now if I input good like this, the way it is this way and I run it, you discover that you don't expect anything to be printed on the screen. See, nothing is printed on the screen because we just import the file, but we have not give it the next action. We have not tell it what next to do. So what can I do? I only import good, which is the name of the file. So for me to be able to access the function that I just created, for me to be able to access the function I created, all I need to do is put good, which is the name I've imported or the file I've imported, then dot the name of the function, which is good boy. So you can see that, sorry, good boy, like this. Now if you go ahead and run your text, you can see we have good printed out. Now what of, for instance, is it whenever we want to call or want to make use of our good, we keep on putting good dot good boy, good dot good boy? That will be a whole lot of stress. Sometimes you might just want to call function alone. Now for us to be able to access the function alone, we need to get rid of this and we say from good import the function we have just created, which is good boy. So you can see this. So from good, that is the name of the file, I want you to import a function called good boy. Now when you do this on a normal note, you don't need this. So you can just come and call your function like this. So I can go ahead and run the function. You see, we still have code indeed printed out on the screen. And I can call it as many times as I want to call it. So I've placed it multiple times, and when I run it, you can see good indeed, good indeed, good indeed is printed out 3 times based on the number of times I call the function. You can still make it look way more concise. You can still shrink some stuff down. So for instance, we have good, and from good import good boy. Now we might want to make changes to that function. We might not want to give the function the way it is, so we can just put good boy as let me put a little something like n, as n. So these have reduced. Maybe I'm typing good boy and good boy is a way long, so I want it to be a little bit small, so I can just come over here, get rid of this good boy, and my function is no more good boy again in this particular file. Now my function is just n. So just like this, n, simple n. So I'm going to get rid of this and put in here. Now go ahead and run this, you see, we still have good indeed, good indeed, good indeed 3 times, printed out 3 times. So that is for this thing using as there. So boy, I'm replacing good boy with the value m. So that is that. So if for instance maybe we can still apply the same stuff there, like the normal way we always do it. But if for instance we try doing something like this, because you know in our previous video we have been doing this import, we have been running this import function for a very long time, where we put the file there which is good, then we put dot good boy, like this. We have been doing this for a very long time, so let's see if that works. So if I come in here and try that, good boy, like this, and expect it to work, I think there will be a very big issue there. It's showing an error. Good boy is not defined. So that's where the issue is. Good boy is not defined. So the only way we can use this is when we assign it to a variable. So if for instance we come here and put good, good boy, this is a variable we just created, now is equals to, you can see, so when we put it like this, I think this should now work. So you can see good indeed is now working. So if for instance like that one we use as something, so instead of using as something there, you can just go ahead and make changes to this, replacing it with m. Come to this place and replace this one too with n, just like this. So you can see now we run. You see good indeed is still printed out on our screen. So that is that. Now all these are working because we are still focusing on the same directory. So what if we transfer this good.py to a directory that is totally different from this present directory? So for instance, I create a directory mkdir and I call the directory home, like this. So when I list, you see we have directory. Now I've forgotten to tell you about something. Whenever you run an import Python file, this stuff is always created. The what's it called? This directory underscore pyketch underscore creates itself on its own, then drop a file in there which is kind of a bit encrypted with kind of a text in there. So now this is what we are focusing on, which is the home directory we have just created. Now this home directory, we are going to cd inside, we are going to move this good.py into this home directory. So I'm going to say mv good into home, like this. So now if we ls, you see we don't have good again, but good now is inside the home directory we have just created. So I'm just going to cd inside this home directory, like that. So if we list that, you see we have good in our home home directory. Now, let's return back and let's try to test that file again. ./tes like this and see what we get. You can see it's showing an error. We cannot access that file. So how can we access that file? That is where we need a little stuff there. We need a little help. So let me say vi into our test. Good. Now, if for instance, because the way of how this is kind of a string related, and I'm trying to put what did I name that directory? I think home, then /good. Now let me see if this works. I'm not sure if it works. Oh, a lot of problem, like more problem. So what about if I replace that with a dot? WQ like that. Still didn't work. Okay, so you can see it's not working. But what about if we try the other method? So I get rid of this and put import what's the name of that file again? Good. And I'll try putting this as code.m. Now let me see if that one works. There's still a big problem here. But now to sort that problem out, here is, you can say good, or you can come to this place and put home. I mean, here, home.good, just like this. I can even get rid of this. I can put good boy. So just like this. Okay, I think that wasn't the fine. Import home.good. Okay, what about if we try this way? Import home.good, because the system there is trying to so to sort that, especially when we have in this thing, so instead of using import, let's try using from, because from simply means it's trying to give an instance of a place. We ask you where are you from, asking you where are you coming from school, from, so just kind of a direction. So let's put now from home, then dot good. So you can see I put it there. Import. Now I can put the name of the function there. Good boy. So I can come here and put good boy, just like this. So now I can run that. You can see we have good indeed printed. So you can see our access that. Now if we list here, you see that home that we put there is the name of the directory. Now inside this home we have a file called good.py. So that's like home.good. From home.good import good boy. So now I'm still going to navigate again in my test. You can still put it this way. If you want to make it a bit longer, you can still say as. You can still use as n like this and get rid of all this stuff. M and paste it multiple times, and we can go ahead and run that. We still get the same output. Good indeed, good indeed, good indeed, 3 times. So you can see that now. Still on that stuff, we can still get rid of this. And come here, get rid of this. Got to make things very easy. So from home, import good. So here I can come over here and put good.m. I don't need this. I don't need this. So this will also work. So if I run this, you still see oh sorry, I think there is a mistake somewhere. I need to rectify. Good. Oh, M is not defined, so I'm gonna put good boy like that in there. So this should work now. So you can see we have good indeed printed out on screen. So that is that. That is accessing this file in another directory. So what of if we have multiple directory? So for instance, we have home, and if I navigate in home and check what we have there, we have good.py, and maybe I want to create another file called bad touch. Okay, let me just copy and paste. Copy good.py as bad.py. So if we list, we have two files, bad.py and good.py. Now I can cd in bad.py. Sorry, vi in bad.py. I mean. Now I can change the good here to bad indeed. You can see that. Bad indeed. Now I can clear my screen. Now I can see the out of this. Clear the screen. Then release what we have there. Now, if I go ahead and run my test file, it will still work perfectly good. But there will be an issue if I run it this way. Now, for instance, I get this out, and instead of me, maybe I don't want to import like one function, I want to import like two functions or two things there. I want to import. Now, to import everything, you use this sign. That sign simply means I'm importing everything in home. Both the good and the bad, I'm importing them. And I now come over to this place and I put something like good boy like that, and I expect it to run. So good is not defined, meanwhile good is defined. But if I was specific here and put something like good instead of that star, that you see that it will work, you know that it is defined. So, but I want to import everything, not only good. I want both bad to be imported inside my code, so I can run them different instance. How can I do that? Now I'll go out again and run this file. Can you see that? It's giving me this error. Now to get rid of this error, what are you going to do? ls. Now you see we have home here. So I'm going to navigate inside the home. Home. And this what we have there, we have good and bad, which are the two files, and we are importing everything, and there is an issue with that. To do that, we have a function we create. Sometimes PyCharm always creates that automatically, but we can do that on our own. So we are going to vi, we are going to create a file called underscore init, then underscore dot py. Can you see this file? Create a file called underscore init underscore dot py. I've created the file. Now I'm going to enter. Now in this file, I'm going to use the all statement, because we say import all, which is that star sign. So I'm going to come here, put insert mode, put underscore, then all underscore. That is the name of the variable I've created. Then I'm going to say set equals to what? So I'm going to set it equals to the value, a list of those stuff that we have in there. So the first thing I'm going to set it to is good, you can see, which is the first file we have in this directory, and the second one again is bad. So those are the two files. So that will differentiate them, because the same function we have in bad is the same function we have in good. So you can see that. So if I clear my screen, then navigate out of this place, then ls stuff here home. Now if we go ahead and run our test file, you can see good indeed is printed out. Now if I vi inside this test